how does it work? Like, how do you get assigned cases? Because in my mind, it's just a thing of like, you know, when we were at school, if somebody had a bruise or something, then the teachers would talk to them about it, and then, you know, they'd find out what's going on. Is that how you get assigned to people, or how do you know what's going on in the community?
Yeah. So it's normally school, because children spend more time with school. Say 5 years old and above, they're with school, and then the school will see a bruise, for example. Sometimes they'll talk to the parent, sometimes they'll just send it straight. So they're obliged legally to let social services know.
Yeah.
And then they'll explain give us some evidence and all the details, and then we will contact the family. But it depends. So on one hand, it could be, Johnny was playing. The school will say, Dad said Johnny was playing, he bumped his leg. So sometimes we'll get involved to check it out, sometimes we won't. It just depends on the details. But sometimes that bruise is, the teacher might say to the child, what happened to your leg? And they say, oh, mummy. And maybe they can't talk so well, or you can see they're holding back. And you'll be thinking, any professional will be thinking, this is serious. Mummy what? And then the kid won't talk.
Right.
Or they might say, mummy hit me. Daddy was angry, something like that. And then they will stop interviewing the child because they will be dirtying the evidence.
Right.
So then that will come through to the multi-agency safety hub, which is called MASH. That's the first port of call. And then MASH will have a discussion with managers, and they will say, look, this sounds serious, after a bit of an assessment. And then they'll have a strategy meeting, and it'll be managers, health, police, education, and anyone else that's involved in the meeting. Some local authorities will have the social worker there as well. Where I work, they don't do that for some strange reason. And then that strategy meeting could likely result in a Section 47 child protection inquiry. And then that means that social worker has to get out of there immediately. Now, this is where it can get complicated, because it could be that strategy meeting could be at 2:30. That meeting will be half an hour long, as we discussed the past and the present, and we try to predict the future on that. And then we're like worried, look, his parents abusing the kid. Oh, and then the teacher the school will say, well, if we're gonna make this an inquiry, it could be a joint investigation with police.
Right.
In that situation, it would probably, because it sounds criminal, they'll have a joint investigation with police, and then police will say, right, we'll do it with you. We'll meet you at the school. We've got 15 minutes. I'm 20 minutes away. I'm 25 minutes away. Oh! So you've got to run down there, and you've got to plan your approach, because the parents at this point still have the right to take the child home. You don't want that.
Oh my gosh.
So you want to investigate that situation whilst they're at school. Sometimes parents will be like, what the heck's going on? Sometimes parents will break down in tears and make all kind of allegations of, you're out of order for judging me. And sometimes, you know, I've had that. I've had enough of that. And so we've got to make a really quick call to try and capture the evidence to explore. Sometimes we shut it down there and then. Or sometimes it's like, I've had a case where, look, this child cannot go home with you today.
On that day?
Yep. This child cannot go home. You've got family, friends, and then the police will do police checks on the family or friends. And then we'll make prep to say, Mum, Dad, get the clothes to the family, friend. You cannot have any unsupervised contact with this child.
Wow.
Whilst we do our assessment.
Yeah.
I had a case where the parent took like an hour to admit that they had inflicted a serious assault on a child, young child.
Oh my God.
And I let that happen because it's evidence to say this parent's covering stuff up. So I let that take place. And then I come to the point where I'm like, right, what happened? Let's get black and white here. Am I gonna make this?
It's a bit of a showdown.
Let's see. Yeah, we can make that. Come on. So, yeah, the parent, you let the parent talk, because what it is, if the parent's avoidant in being honest, then that tells you a bit about their character and the nature of the abuse that they may
inflict.
Right. So that is evident for me. If a parent's trying to hide, then, but sometimes the parents go, look, I was angry, I'm sorry. And that is really powerful evidence, because that is the difference between going to court and losing your kids for temporarily, or let's work with you.
Right.
So a lot of things play into that. That's how it happened. Did I answer the question? I don't know if I said it in a long way, but
No, you did.
or you get cases where it's malicious. So the neighbor doesn't like that neighbor doesn't like the neighbor, and then they'll say, "Oh, he's beating his kids," kind of thing. And it's like nothing. I've had some. It's racism, like
Wow.
Asian family. I remember once, and the white neighbor was like, they're abusing their kids, and it was multiple allegations. And then I speak to the kids are all climbing over their parents. They love their family. The house is clean. The dad's like, "What the heck are you talking?" You know, and it was like, it's clearly malicious.
Wow.
So I said to them, "Take this to the
That's
police."
dark.
I did an assessment. Take it to. Yeah, that happens. Or could be one parent constantly making allegations against the other parent. That happens a lot because they're bitter. Bitter relationships. So
Do you ever get called into disputes about like when a couple is separating and who's going to get the custody and things like that, or is that less of what you do?
yeah, we do. It's not often, but that's private family law.
Oh, okay.
So they have to go to court, fight their case, and then the judge will give directions and say, "Well, there's a Section 7 report. Let's find out if the child can be with both parents or one parent, or do you think there's any abuse taking place?" So we do a various
So you'll
types of
come in,
assessment.
but it's not like you're overseeing the whole. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking as you were speaking, 'cause obviously some of the things that you witness are like horrific, and you're a parent yourself. How do you stop yourself from, I guess, feeling or coming across judgmental? Because I presume you have to
Overly
maintain
protective,
like
you mean, kind of thing?
overly protective,
Judgmental, you mean?
judgmental against the parents when you find out
When I'm
something is
working with
going
them.
on. Yeah.
Do you know what? Honestly, for me, and I can get how it happens, it is easy to, because I come with my own stuff
Yeah.
as a human, right? And everyone comes with their own thing, right? So when you step to certain parent, let's say I've been abused as a child, and now I'm an adult, I'm a social worker, and then I come into a family and there's been the exact same thing has happened. That's why we have to be always practicing something called critical reflection, meaning we have to analyze ourselves. Does it always happen? I don't think so, because I think it's a skill. You have to ask yourself, why are you so hard on this family? Why are you talking this way to this mom and dad? Is it because of what you went through? That could be the answer, right? So we got to do that work on ourselves.
Is that something that's managed by?
It should be.
Okay.
Our managers are supposed to give us supervision.
Right.
If it happens or not, there's.
But it's just heavy. I'm just really struggling to wrap my head around how hard that must be, just because I feel like you can experience something or witness something that could dredge up feelings that you didn't even know that you had or were still carrying, or a memory of something will be triggered, and then it's like, how do I continue to work productively with somebody that's just unearthed trauma in me?
Do you know what it is? Part of it is this. For me personally, my faith, grace. Yeah. Number two, I've got colleagues. So number two first. Number two, I've got colleagues that I can vent. As a human, I need to say to some of my mates, "Can you believe what I've been going through with this family?" Blah blah blah. And you let that out. The other side of it is my faith, my Christian faith, has taught me about grace. So sometimes grace means that I have to work with you, even if you don't deserve it.
Wow.
I have to try and get the best from you, or try and stimulate the best. Even when they're actually lying about you, making complaints about you, verbally abusing you, you still got to try and think, well, is there a gap where I could stimulate the best? That's my approach, yeah? Don't get me wrong, I will always say I've got some good things about me, some things I'm not good at. But that is because I'm so serious about second chances. I will try and do that. The problem is, and a barrister told me this, is that sometimes when you can help too much and make things worse.
What does that mean, to help too much?
Because you can fight to keep a family together when it really shouldn't be. Some people have no intention to change, but you see a spark of hope and you're like, let me work with that attribute. But the parent will still do the same thing. And then when you go to court, the judge will say, what the evidence is there, this is not working, why are you fighting for it? Or your managers will be coming together against you and saying, what the heck are you doing? You're giving a family hope when there is no hope. This is not going to work.
What makes you so set on believing in second chances? Because for me, I've certainly grown up around people who will easily write someone off for one thing and it's like, that's it. Or they just believe kind of like, you've made your bed, lie in it. That kind of hard line attitude, which not sorry to my people, but I find that from a lot of like African people, especially of my parents' generation and
West
older.
Indian too, man.
Really,
Yeah.
it's just a thing of, sometimes I hear stories from like my mum and dad about like people who they grew up with and their kids and things they did, and they'll just be so kind of like, oh well, they messed up their lives, so that's it.
Yep. No, well, there is a part of me that is like that. But I also recognise the chances I've had in my life. I know what it is to be forgiven. I know what that is. I know what it is to be given a chance. People have helped me. So I try to give that back. It's part of my nature, but at the same time, I am judgmental. I do think, mate, my kids will tell you, I will look at other people in front of them, or sometimes I say to them, like, you did that, that's your problem. Yeah. But you know what it is that I see people who offend. My problem, and I mean this is a full-on problem now, yeah? My problem is that I see them both as a culprit and a victim at the same time. So the reason why they're doing that, there's a reason. Where are they coming from? Well, a lot of us had abuse in our lives, but we don't all act like that. So statistically, it's only a minority that do it. But where are they coming from? Why they do that? And so that there can be problematic, because I can try and fight for something that shouldn't be fought for.
Even though you describe that as a problem, to me, I see that as a really great trait to have as well, though, because I feel like some people are so black and white, like they just see a culprit, or some people always just see a victim and just excuse certain types of behavior, and that's how things can like proliferate for so long. But understanding the nuance,
I know personally a number of cases, and one in particular that involved people very close to me, when I was a kid, where the church kept doing that to this sexual predator, and he ended up sexually offending throughout the church for years.
So they just saw him as a victim.
They was like, no, I wouldn't say victim. They were like, well, we have to be forgiving. We have to be noble.
Oh, but grace.
Grace. And it's like, I think we don't understand what grace is. It's not for that. You know? If you sexually offend in a church environment, you need to leave and never come back, and don't be around anyone.
God is a God of justice as well, at the end of the day.
You understand? So for me, that's where the problem is, because people don't change just because they have grace. There's that balance. Sometimes people take advantage of it,
For sure. It's not the grace itself that changes you. It's the acknowledgement that you've received that grace, and that the grace is a gift. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you.